Well, Razorback fans, you are back in the Sweet 16. So now what's the expectation? Let's talk about it on today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Tuesday. I apologize. I didn't have one Locked On podcast for Monday because I was traveling back, and as you all know, I was traveling back from San Francisco. Traveling back from Providence, going to be going to San Francisco, probably as the time you're listening to this. But I had some delays happen on our flights. We didn't get in until 2 a.m. And then I get on my computer to try to record, and it's got all these updates. So I'm like, screw it. I'm just going to wait until next time. So, but I'm going to have podcasts throughout the entire week here, as this will be the only one I'm doing from my house here in my studio. As I just mentioned, I'll be in San Francisco. Razorbacks, Sweet 16 against Texas Tech. Back to old San Fran. It's been too long, San Francisco. Looking forward to it, and can't wait to be back in there and to see what the Hogs have in store. As, again, they got Texas Tech, and then if they are able to beat Texas Tech, they'll have the winner of the Florida and Maryland game. But, it's amazing that we're here. It really is. And I know you all have had your reactions, and since the game happened on Saturday, it's kind of sunk in a little bit that this is a thing that Arkansas is doing. They're going to the NCAA tournament, and then they're going to the Sweet 16 at this point. And so now you get the feel and the excitement and the vibe and the energy and the juice, and it's there, man. It's there. I know so many of you Razorback fans that are going to be making the trip to San Fran. I know so many of you that have been interacting and tweeting and texting me, and it's one of my favorite things to see. It doesn't have to be just basketball either, but it's my favorite thing to see when the Razorbacks do good. When they do well in something, people get all about it. They are across the state, across the country. Any Razorback fans that I didn't really know how big of Razorback fans they are because they don't post much about the Razorbacks. It's not like it's their job, like me, but they all just soak it in and love it so much, and they go crazy for it. And I love it. I love the fact that they do it, and it's just such a happy togetherness that everyone has. And that's really what it's become for Arkansas. You're at this point. I said this so many times that if you made it to the Sweet 16, at least the minimum, the Sweet 16, then the rest of it that happened in the regular season, wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter that you lost to South Carolina the way you did. It wouldn't matter if you lost to LSU the way you did. It wouldn't matter if you had some bad halves, bad games, injuries, all of that. None of that matters, and no one's going to remember all of that because look where you're at. You're in the Sweet 16. You beat St. John's, the 2 seed up in Providence. You're in the Sweet 16, and who really knows where this will end? Who knows where your season will end? You're 4 games away from winning a national championship. Put it in that perspective. You are 4 wins away from a national championship. You're 2 wins away from going to your first Final Four since 1995. I mean, you're right there. You got work to do. You got to get through Texas Tech first, but it just shows you how close you are and how incredible it is. But with that becomes an expectation of Arkansas. Now, we'll talk about how far the Razorbacks can go and what that expectation will be. But I wanted to use this time to once again remind everybody about how good it is. How good it is to be a Razorback basketball fan right now. This season was weird. It's been weird. In some ways, it continues to be weird. It's really hard to wrap your head around and try to make sense out of it all. But considering where you were just 2 months ago to where you are now, I mean, you can't write a script. You can't even put it into words. You can't make sense out of it. The way that this team has been able to perform and been able to do these things and what they're doing. I mean, it's just incredible. And now you have a chance to do something with it. But to go to a Sweet 16, your fourth one in 5 seasons, is stupid. Stupid good, but stupid. Folks, you are 10-3, Razorback fans. You are 10-3 in the NCAA tournament in the past 5 years. One of those years including that you didn't even go to the tournament. You are 10-3 with a possibility of winning more games. You're averaging 2 wins an NCAA tournament. Now, a lot of you are going to say, oh, well, it's the Sweet 16. That's not the know-all, end-all, be-all. We want more than that. That doesn't where our season comes to an end. And you're right. Like, I'm not coming to you or approaching it as in like, this is the best. It doesn't get any better than this. Of course it can, and of course it does. You've seen it. Arkansas won a national championship in college basketball. But the point I'm trying to make is that you see the NCAA tournament and the amount of teams, amount of coaches that miss out on this opportunity, that miss out on making it to this point. Cal was one of those that got what I always felt unfair hit of he can't win in the tournament. He can't win in the tournament. Well, he proved it so far because he got to the Sweet 16. And since there's only 16 teams left, you got to think about some of the teams that felt like they were in a really good spot. Felt like they had a good year. Felt like that they really did some nice things. Maybe had a historically good year. And where are they at? They're at home. They're at home. Watching the other teams in the NCAA tournament. I'm talking about we'll look at the SEC, and we'll talk about the SEC actually later. And what I think they're also defying logic and what they're able to do. But just like the SEC. Texas A&M went 11-7 this year, 23-11. They had a really good year. Wade Taylor had a great performance this season. They retired his jersey, all of that good stuff. They lost. And they went home. They're sitting at home right now. Buzz Williams and all that year. They lost to Michigan. They're sitting at home. Missouri. How about Missouri? Hate to see it happen to Missouri. Such a fine group of people over there. Missouri, who had a great turnaround season. I mean, my goodness. Went 0-18 and turned around to go 10-8. Started falling off a little bit at the end of the season, but they went 22-12. Had a 6 seed in the tournament. All that good stuff. Well, they lost. Lost to Drake. Season's over. I'm saying all that to say this, folks. Never take for granted wins in the NCAA tournament. We, as Razorback fans, have been extremely spoiled. This might be the only thing over the past 5 years in any sport that Razorback fans can point to and say that we have been privileged, we have been lucky, we have been whatever you want to say. Because you have gone to 4 straight Sweet 16s when you've made the NCAA tournament. You've won 10 NCAA tournament games in 5 years. There are Hall of Fame coaches, Cal being one of them when he was in Kentucky. He was getting ripped for that, for not doing that, for not making it to that next round. Bruce Pearl in Auburn this year is the first time that he's made it out of the first weekend since 2019. Bruce Pearl. Okay? I don't know what it's like to go to an NCAA tournament event personally and see them lose in the first weekend. I've never seen it. I've been to every single NCAA tournament game, all 13 of them. Not one time did it end early. Not one time did it end after I made the trip up to somewhere and be like, golly gee shucks. Not one time did you lose to an inferior team. Not one time. You have been very fortunate, Razorback fans. You have been fortunate to see this. And we are fortunate to be able to see this team of all teams, make the NCAA tournament and go to the Sweet 16. They're a 10 seed, ladies and gentlemen, a 10 seed, and they're in the Sweet 16. I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. All I'm saying is enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride. Enjoy the place you're at. Enjoy the direction everything's going. Have fun with it. Love it. Cherish it. Go to the games if you can. I know going out to San Francisco is expensive. Trust me, I know. But if you have a chance, go. If you have a chance, have a watch party. Have all the fans over. Do whatever it is. Just live up in this moment. Because the NCAA tournament, there's very few things in college sports that are bigger than that. And you are right now in a position to where you potentially could do even more. Do even more than what you've done. I mean, I think Adu Thero is going to come back. I have no evidence of that. It's just a gut feeling. But I love what this team has been able to accomplish. I love what they're doing. And I got to give a shout out to Cal. I think everybody should. Anybody that hated on me to bend the knee and get over it. So let's have some fun with it, shall we? Let's have a run. Let's have a time in San Fran. Let's see this team and what they're capable of. How far will they go? Well, we'll talk about that on the other side of the break. So stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, folks, daylight savings time. Of course, that always sneaks up on us again. If you're feeling that lost hour of sleep, 5-Hour Energy has your back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you need a little boost to power through. Whether you're staying up late watching the NCAA tournament, squeezing in a round of golf after work, or just trying to keep up with your busy day, 5-Hour Energy gives you that quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. A lot of us have been staying up watching March Madness in the NCAA tournament. Yeah, I know. That's me. I've been doing that. And the next day, it makes it pretty tough. Or maybe some of you have been like me and traveling like crazy with jet lag, lack of sleep, not being able to know what you're doing or which way is up. It happens. But we need that 5-Hour Energy. We need that extra boost. We need something to help us go. So do what I did. Head over to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, and peach mango. You can even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack and have it delivered right to your door. If you need one now, grab a 5-Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. They're everywhere. Stock up today and stay energized. All right, moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. How far will the Razorbacks go? You know, I asked this question on Inside Arkansas Live. I wanted the fans' perspective of just what's your expectation now? You see what your pathway has to be. Again, beating Texas Tech and then beating either Florida or Maryland. Not saying you will beat Texas Tech or you will beat Florida or Maryland, but you could. I could see it. And then after that, you face who more than likely? Auburn, probably. Then after that, you face Duke. I mean, we're getting ahead of ourselves. But the point is that when you're one of the final 16 teams, suddenly your pathway becomes no longer of, gee, I just hope we perform well, to, okay, so let's get serious about this. Where we separate the men from the boys. This is where all these great teams are still in there. This is where all the teams are coming together. Everybody wants the same thing. Everybody sees and feels the same way about having their path to a national championship. How will my team perform? How will we do? How will it work? I'm telling you right now, folks, this is my official prediction. You can take it that way. You can take it this way. Living in this moment, on this very day, where we still have a few days before Arkansas and Texas Tech play each other. You want to know what my prediction is for the Razorbacks? I think they win twice in San Francisco. I think they go to the Final Four. I do. And the reason being is, one, as I mentioned a little bit earlier. Adu Thero, getting him back, arguably your best player, and a guy that can do so many different things with his physicality and his athleticism. Getting him back would be quite important and quite nice. It'd be a good thing to have. I mean, listen, Jonas Adu, Trevin Brazil, they've been playing great, as well as DJ Wagner, Nelly Davis. Boogie Flan has even done some really good things getting in there. Billy Richmond had a great game. Like, you've had some really good performances out of players. But to just be able to have that body, that type of player, because you can't mimic that. That size, strength, and speed, you can't mimic that. And the dude's awesome. And he's rested. And we'll see if he's ready to go. We see if he plays, but I'm just going off my gut feeling here. I think he plays. I think he does well. And I think he's going to be a handful for other teams. So that's one of the reasons. Another one of the reasons that I have is because Arkansas has truly proven that they're playing their best basketball right now. They didn't get lucky against anybody. They don't have any sort of, good fortune going their way where they got benefited from a call or that the officials were on their side, because we definitely know that wasn't the case against St. John's. They're fighting. They're fighting like a team I've never seen at Arkansas. And with everything that they go down with and everything that happens in these games where they get down big or they just keep clawing their way back. They don't give up. They don't get run off the court. They don't get embarrassed. They fight, and they are tough. And because of that, that's what it takes in an NCAA tournament. You're going to get everyone's best shot. Everyone's going to try to take you some off way. But it's a matter of, can you keep fighting? Can you keep getting after it? Can you keep going? Can you manage a way to overcome all those things and then find a way to win the game? They're finding those ways. They're doing those things. They're doing the things that you need to do to win games. And it has to make me feel good about it. But also, and maybe the most important thing to me about this, you have John Calipari as your head coach. You all know I love Eric Musselman. Still do. But Muss never went to a Final Four. Never went to a national championship. Never won a national championship. Same with Mike Anderson, John Pelfrey, Stan Heath, all these people. Like, it never felt that way. But your coach, John Calipari, has. He's won a national championship. He's played in 3 national championships. He has been to 6 Final Fours. He has done all of these things frequently. He knows what it takes. He knows what it looks like. And he knows how to plan. He knows how to game plan. He knows how to handle it. Does that mean it's going to be perfect? Does that mean he's going to win every game? Does that mean that it's always going to happen this way? No, I'm not saying that at all. But if it comes to somebody that I want to trust and I do trust, I'm going to trust the guy that's been here before. I'm going to trust the guy that knows what it takes to get to that point, knows what a team needs to look like, knows how to look at it from the mental capacity. Not like the way the lights are going to be too bright on him. This is a guy who is a Hall of Fame coach, national championship winning coach for all the right reasons. And he is on your side. He is on your bench. So with all these things coming together, I feel good about it. I feel good about Arkansas going to the Final Four. Now, it doesn't mean they for sure will. It's not like I've never had a prediction that went wrong. It's happened. But I'm just telling you, I feel good about the approach. I feel good about the direction. I feel good where it's at. I'm excited. I'm pumped. I'm ready to get to San Francisco. I'm going to be jet lagged like crazy. Getting on that West Coast time is going to be throwing me off, so bear with me on it. Man, doesn't it feel good for once in a long time? It feels good to be a Razorback fan. For now. I want to talk about the SEC. 7 teams going to the Sweet 16. We'll get to that, so stay with us here on Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, I got to tell you about our friends over at Game Time. Imagine watching your favorite team live, feeling the energy of the crowd, and witnessing unforgettable moments. There's nothing like experiencing that big game in person. Getting tickets shouldn't be stressful. That's where Game Time actually comes in, making it easier to grab last-minute seats at unbeatable prices. Game Time Picks, it's curation that makes it easier to find better value and tickets to sports, concerts, comedy, theater shows, all of those things. And also, when you check the Game Time app, there are amazing deals on some huge matchups that are always going to be coming up. They have super deals like the lowest price guarantee, or the Game Time will be able to credit 110% of the difference for you. And with seats that you can view where they're at before you buy, with no surprise fees and a lowest price guarantee, you can book it all with total confidence. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. That's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
All right, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Listen, I know that I'm not, well, I shouldn't even start that way. I'm going to start this way. I am someone who likes to see certain teams, or at least the conference, do fairly well in football. I've talked about this. But in basketball, baseball, whatever, screw them all. I don't care. I don't care about the SEC and them winning. But here's what I do care about. I do care about the national pundits and the talking heads when they almost get upset because the SEC was the best conference this year in basketball, and they are just drooling at the mouth waiting for the SEC to not be that, to not do that, just to fall short in the NCAA tournament. And in the beginning part of the NCAA tournament, because the SEC got more teams in the tournament than any other conference before, there were people that were saying, it's cooked. It's not as good because, Mississippi State lost to Baylor, and Missouri lost, and Vanderbilt lost, and A&M lost. These teams, they're just not any good. I don't know. Georgia got smoked by Gonzaga. I don't know. Oklahoma got beat by UConn. I don't know. And everyone was just throwing this crap around as if it was some sort of indictment. Well, now you can't really fight that allegation anymore because you have 7 of the 16 teams in the Sweet 16 that are SEC teams. Pretty much half the field. It kind of feels like the super regionals in baseball, doesn't it, with that amount? But, listen, people knew Auburn, Bama, Tennessee, Florida. They knew those teams are going to be in there. I think even Kentucky people probably figured, but Arkansas for sure not. Ole Miss, I did not think so. I mean, they beat Iowa State pretty handedly, and I hate that because I really don't want Ole Miss to be good in anything because they don't deserve a good basketball program. But that, it's like those are a couple surprises, but you still got Tennessee going on. Tennessee and Kentucky play each other, which I'm just glad that's the case. Arkansas avoided that part of it, at least. But, Alabama plays BYU, might be the highest scoring game in NCAA tournament history. Ole Miss plays Michigan State. So there's going to be some good matchups. But the point is that the SEC, they still have work to do. They still got to do something with it. You can't just say you're the best conference and then have nothing to show for it. And you still could have a lot of eliminations and whatnot. But the point is that the conference has done their part. Like, they've done really well in the NCAA tournament. And that's okay. That's nothing against it. Nothing against anybody that's said anything for it. But still, it's just it's so weird how people try to lock in on such weird concepts and things like that. So, but either way, I'm excited about Arkansas. That's all I'm focused on. Got to beat Texas Tech. Arkansas had some good success against Texas Tech in postseason play in sports. Football this past year in the Liberty Bowl, beating Texas Tech to go to their first Elite Eight under Muss, or first Sweet 16 under Muss a few years ago. So there was that. I think there was another time, too, where they beat them in baseball, maybe 2018, something like that. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Arkansas had some pretty good success against Texas Tech in postseason. Hopefully that continues on. Hopefully that continues on. But appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Nabors Show for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. We'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel. Tomorrow afternoon from San Francisco. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. See you then.